Fastest car of every year. Hello and welcome back to MIA Luxury Cars. For today's video, we are going to talk about the fastest car of every year. There's nothing you enjoy more than the rush of speed. Would it surprise you to learn that individuals in the past enjoyed going fast as well? They accomplished it, and they did it in some seriously nice cars. Cars that, while slow to by today's standards, were lightning fast back then. Now we'll take a look at the quickest production automobiles from each year during the last century. Let's get started. 1920. The AUSTRO Daimler Prinz Henry. Prinz Henry's cars has a 5.7-liter 4-cylinder engine with a top speed of 85 miles per hour. This automobile ruled the globe for years. 1928. Duesenberg Model J. With their inline 8-cylinder capable of 119 miles per hour, they blew everyone out of the water. We're currently in triple digits. There are a lot of new cars that I wouldn't feel comfortable driving at 119 mph in right now. For a time, it was the fastest car on the planet. 1949. Jaguar XK120. The XK120 was a supremely capable car with a ton of race wins. The top confirmed speed was 124 miles per hour. But there is a rumor going around a bunch of old folks' homes that if you folded down the windshield and covered the passenger seat, the car could top out an over 130 without a windshield. I want to point out that the Jaguar XK120 is the first car in this list that, in my opinion, looks like a sports car, like we think of sports cars today. It's sleek, it looks like it can cut through the air. All the cars up until this point look like coffins on wheels, and that's not very far from what they were. 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300SL. Topped out at 140.7 miles per hour with the doors down. With the doors up, it would go much slower. 1958 Aston Martin DB4, 141 miles per hour. 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO. The world's most expensive car was the 1962, also the world's fastest car. Its 3-liter V12 produced 296 horsepower and had a top speed of 158 miles per hour. The 250 GTO was produced by Old Man Enzo to compete in the FIA GT World Championship, which was getting really popular at the beginning of 60s. It won the 2 back-to-back championship as if it needed to prove itself with looks like that. This is one of the most beautiful cars that the world has ever seen. It only held the throne for 1 year though, before it was beaten by the 1963 Studebaker Avanti. Now, this was the last-ditch attempt of the Studebaker to save their failing car company. And they made this, a fiberglass body with a 280 cubic inch V8, which delivered 290 horsepower, and made the Avanti, which means go in Italian. Little language lesson for you guys there. You know, it's not just cars, the fastest cars in the world until that point. A true, if somewhat unknown, cult American icon. 1964 AC COBRA MK3 427. This thing is not only one of the most iconic cars in America, it is one of the most recognizable sports cars in the world. 1967 Lamborghini Miura P400. Propelled by its 4-liter 385 horsepower V12, this thing rocketed up to 171 miles per hour. The Miura is commonly known as the world's first supercar, so it's no wonder that it was also the world's fastest car when it was launched in 1967 for 8 months. 1968 Ferrari GT B4 Daytona, which was capable of 174 miles per hour. The car was named to commemorate Ferrari's 1-2-3 victory at the 1967 Daytona 24R. It was 3 miles per hour faster than the Lamborghini. For a show, Lamborghini would have the last laugh in this particular speed war though, because his 1969 Lamborghini Miura P400S clocked an impressive 179.3 miles per hour and would have held the title for almost a decade. 1979 Lamborghini Countach LP400. The Miura held the record until the 179 mile per hour Lamborghini Countach LP400 was the let loose on the streets in 1979. The Countach is set the precedent for supercar styling for the next 10 years, and its 3.9-liter 370 horsepower V12 ruled the world. 1984 Ferrari 288 GTO. After 15 years of Lamborghini producing the fastest cars in the world, yet again Ferrari had the last Italian laugh. 1986 Porsche 959. The first all-wheel drive car to make the list, which is interesting because all-wheel drive is now a feature on pretty much all of today's fastest cars. The 959 was about more than top speed, however, it featured so many technological innovations which ruled the late 80s and early 90s and was, until the McLaren F1, the most technologically advanced production car in the world. 1987 Ferrari F40. The last car that Enzo Ferrari personally signed off on before his death. The F40 was expected to be the world's fastest production car, and it was in Italy. The F40 was never recorded going over 200 miles per hour outside of Italy, which basically means that it probably didn't go over 200 miles per hour. Ferrari was a habit of giving their specs and stats a little massaging. Still, the actual top speed of 199 miles per hour still made it faster than the 959, and therefore it would have been the world's fastest production car if it weren't for this guy. 1987 Rough CTR, or Yellowbird as it soon became known, was the underdog when it entered the 1988 high-speed test put on by a German magazine against two Ferrari F40s, a Mercedes-AMG 6-liter 32-valve and the current fastest car in the world at that time, the Porsche 959. The CTR recorded a speed of 212 miles per hour, blitzing, absolutely blisting. The times posted by the Porsche, Ferraris, and Mercedes, and going on to become the fastest car in the world. And I just want to point out that I think that it's incredible that a relatively unknown company from Germany managed not only to break the 200 mile per hour barrier first, but to get all the way to a 212.5. Incredible engineering from one of my favorite manufacturers. 1990 Vector W8. However, they only made 19 of them, so it sort of doesn't count. Plus, the top speed was a claimed 242 miles per hour, but nobody was ever brave enough to actually try and go that fast in it. 1992 Jaguar XJ220. Now, this is the second Jaguar that we mentioned on this list and the fastest 6-cylinder car in the world to date, and it would have been the fastest car in 1992 if the Bugatti EB110 didn't come onto the scene and instantly murked him and stole his crown with a top speed of 218 miles per hour. We are getting to ridiculous speed at this point, but all of this is about to pale into insignificance with the emergence of this 1993 McLaren F1. The McLaren F1 is kind of like a flaming hot Doritos. Everyone remembers where they were when they first came aware that its beautiful machines exist. The McLaren F1 stands as the highest watermark possible for automotive development up until the point, and realistically was the world's first true hyper. The McLaren pioneered so many features which helped it to achieve its mind-blowing top speed. It's also still the fastest naturally aspirated production car ever. Its 6.1-liter BMW V12 produced 618 brake horsepower and straight up rocketed the three-seater McLaren to a recording-breaking 240 miles per hour. And it was the daddy for the next 10 years. Literally my entire childhood. This was the fastest car in the world. Until in 2005, Koenigsegg pre-released this, the Koenigsegg CCR, which achieved a top speed of 240.7 miles per hour. But it also doesn't matter because a few months later along came this 2005 Bugatti Veyron. Now Bugatti at this point is actually owned by Volkswagen. It's a great story. It's said that the Volkswagen lost an incredible 6.3 million for every Veyron they sold. However, the Veyron was never meant to be a commercial success. Its purpose was something far greater. It was conceived and built with the sole purpose of becoming the fastest production car in the world. And by golly, it was. Its either little quad turbo W16 produced a ridiculous 987 horsepower. Power was delivered to all four wheels, and with a spoiler lowered to reduce drag, the Veyron could hit a mid-bending 253 miles per hour, and it was undisputedly the fastest production car in the world for a while. Finally, the Veyron was knocked off on our top spot. We have the 2010 Veyron SS. Achieved 267,856 miles per hour, cementing the Veyron's place in history for an entire generation. It was 9 years before something came along that could actually challenge the Veyron. 2014 Hennessy Venom GT had a top speed of 270.49 miles per hour. It was based on the heavily modified Lotus Exige, powered by a 7-liter V8 that made 1,244 horsepower. However, Hennessy is still classified as a performance tuner rather than a manufacturer, and rules is rules. In 2016, a full 11 years after the Veyron took its place at the top of the pyramid, along came this 2016 Chiron. The 8-liter quad-turbo W16 was totally re-engineered to produce 1,479 horsepowers. The Chiron immediately took the standard set by the Veyron and raised it to a truly staggering limit. And the Chiron top speed was electronically limited to 261 miles per hour, mainly because Bugatti was worried that if they went any faster, the tires would actually unpredictably, possibly even be exploding, both in terms of looks and performance. This thing seems like it came from another planet, which is why what happened next seems so unbelievable. 2017 Koenigsegg AGERA RS shocked the world when it managed an incredible 277.87 miles per hour. You can just show these guys what 277.87 miles per hour looks like, and that's why in 2019 they took their newest version of the Chiron and did this. 2019 Bugatti Chiron SS 300 Plus. Can you guess what's with the 300 Plus stands for? In 2019, Bugatti revealed that it would be making 30 examples of the ultimate version of the Chiron. It is a Chiron Super Sport with a heavily modified body with drag reduction and closely resembles the Chiron prototype, which made history when it became the first road car to travel at over 300 miles per hour. The Super Sport 300 Plus is a production road version of that record-breaking car and has recorded a legal production car top speed with tires that won't explode of 304.77 miles per hour. Power is up to 1,578 horsepowers. Bugatti is saying that anybody who buys one will be a free invite to go to AGERA Lausanne test circuit to drive their production car to its top speed of over 300 miles per hour. Although if you can't afford a $6 million car, I think you can probably afford a plane ticket. Now, what can you say about these fastest cars of the world? Please let me know by leaving a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button and turn on the notification bell and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thank you for stopping by to watch. See you on our next video.